Good evening, Sports Zonians. How's everybody doing out there tonight? I am Mike Aglioloro. I am your host. This is Sports Zone. Coming to you live like we do each and every week here via the I-95 Sports and Entertainment Radio Network. We got a good show for you tonight. We'll be joined by Eric Tressler, actually, in a matter of moments. Dave Hastings, it is funny. So, as we said last week, we're all amped up for Avengers Endgame. I got to see it Thursday at 6 p.m. Eric saw it over the weekend. Dave is seeing it now. And after Eric got out of the movie on Saturday, he texted both myself and Dave, and because we knew Dave was seeing the movie at 6:30, so the plan was we were going to try to take it in the last few minutes. And Eric goes, "Let's have the show at 9:20 so that Dave can make it, have some time to talk about the movie with us." Not gonna lie, I was not entirely crazy about that idea because I got to wake up tomorrow and some things going on at work that wound up happening later in the week. Wasn't really looking forward to it, but I decided to be the team player and do it because we wanted Dave to be on the show because we are going to talk Avengers Endgame tonight. We all saw the movie. We all loved the movie. And we also going to talk some Game of Thrones tonight because we all saw episode 3, The Battle of Winterfell, whereas the episode was actually titled Night. And I'm sure we all have some thoughts on that. Probably going to start off when Eric gets here talking about that. But I want to say one thing, and we're not going to go heavy on the spoilers with Avengers Endgame right off the bat because I will wait for Dave and Eric to get here to talk about that. But I want to say one thing about movie theater experience because I've seen Avengers Endgame twice now. I went to see it Thursday night with my mother because we're both diehard MCU fans. Took her to see the movie on Thursday and went Middletown, New York for that one, on Dulcet Avenue, Middletown, New York for that one. And then on Sunday, I went to see the movie by myself. Went to the Chester Theater, which is like a block away from where I live. And I tell you, experiences at the movie theater can really make or break how you feel about a movie, or at least how you feel about that particular showing of the movie. And going to see it at 6 o'clock on Thursday, the first showing at that theater. And the people who were around me, because we got there about an hour before the movie started, and the people who were watching were really weird. This group of teenage kids who was in front of us, this old couple right behind us, and then a dude a little bit after them who I kind of sort of recognized at first, but I wasn't sure I knew it. Wound up, I went to high school with the guy. So these were the people who were immediately surrounding us. And I know my mother always gets a little worried when there's teenagers at the theater, thinking that the teenagers are yell through the movie or whatever. But it's funny because I go to the Chester movie theater all the time. I would rather see a movie with a bunch of teenagers in the theater than a bunch of little old women in the theater because a little old lady ruined an experience at the movie for me. And I will never forgive her. My mom's only 65, though. She got about 20, 30 years to go before she a little old lady, so she all right. But anyway, you could tell this group of people that I went to see the movie with were diehard MCU fans. And it made the experience a very enjoyable experience. We had some good conversations before the movie started. And then when we got into the theater and we're watching the movie, to hear the excitement in the crowd, laughing at the funny stuff, cheering at the emotional stuff, getting really invested in the movie because you're invested in all these characters, made that experience. I mean, the movie itself was amazing. I loved the movie. But that experience was probably one of the best experiences I ever had in a movie theater. I would definitely put that up there just because it was so much fun to be in that crowd when it happened. And then I went to see the movie on Sunday, and you could just tell that when I went to see it on Sunday, whereas the group of people that I went to see it with on Thursday were a bunch of MCU diehards, invested, cheering, laughing, applauding, the whole deal. The group of people I went to see it with on Sunday, you could just tell they were casual moviegoers who, they were not as invested because no one's applauding during the hype moments. Nobody's really cheering or showing any sort of emotional investment. And it's like it didn't ruin the movie for me. It just was not the same. And with that, I bring Eric Tresser on the program tonight. Eric, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good.
All right. Now, we are obviously going to save Avengers Endgame for later in the show when Dave comes on. But I was talking a little bit about the experiences I had at the movie theater because I went to see this movie twice. I saw it on Sunday, and I went to see it Thursday at 6 o'clock, like I told you originally. And what I was saying before you came on is the group of people I went to see it with on Thursday were diehard MCU fans. They're cheering, they're applauding, they're really getting emotional investment. They're screaming Wakanda forever during the moment. You know what moment it is. And we'll just leave it at that. And then the group of people I went in, to see it with on Sunday, just casual people laughing at the jokes, but not really. You could tell they weren't invested in the characters. I was just wondering if you ever had like a dichotomy of experiences like that one. And do you think like the group of people that you go to see the theater with can make a break an experience for you?
Not necessarily for me. I mean, I see most movies, including this one I saw with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Crowd, I wouldn't say was cheering at any moments, like out loud, or was, clapping. So I don't know. Maybe it was a crowd. But I also went at 9:30 in the morning, so I don't know how jazzed people are at 9:30 in the morning. I
That's
also know
fair.
people who went. I know somebody who went to a 3 a.m. showing.
Jesus
And
Christ.
I don't know. I'm not sure how you go from 3 to 6 a.m. cheering, laughing, and like. There's so much shit that happened in that movie. And it's like I left there, and my wife was like, "How'd you like it?" And I'm like, "I'll be honest, I don't know. I gotta process it. I gotta think about it. Like there's a lot of stuff that happened, and I just." It's not like I can have an instant reaction. That's why I'm kind of interested to see how Dave reacts later.
Mm-hmm.
I guess we'll save most of that for later.
Yeah.
We can save the Game of Thrones for later too.
No, what I was going to say actually, because while I don't really know how much time we're going to have when Dave comes on, so I was actually thinking we start off with the Game of Thrones, then we maybe move to like the NFL draft, and we save the Avengers Endgame for Dave.
No, I say let's get through the sports first, because I doubt Dave's going to want to talk any sports tonight.
Well,
let's talk some sports. I got to tell you, I got right off the top, you know what's bothering me? James Harden. James Harden, being a crying, whining bitch, is bothering me. It's been bothering me since I've been watching, since the first game the other night, and even further back. I've watched him a little bit now in the playoffs, and I am not a fan. He couldn't play 20 years ago. It is unbelievable. There is good defense being played, and he is crying on every play. If somebody brushes into you, I'm sorry, it's not a foul. I'm over it. I don't care how you phrase the rule. I don't care how today's whiny, crying NBA, flopping LeBron style NBA is run. I'm out on it. It's awful to watch. Stop crying. Play some ball. This is the type of year. This is the time of year you play basketball. You let them play on the court. You let them play it out. Let the skill drive it, not the fucking how many three-pointers you can chuck up and get fouled on. Well, not a James Harden. I'm sorry, he's got to go. I'm hoping they get swept.
Well, if I may, because I do agree with what you said that he couldn't play.
He's too talented to cry that much, Mike. I'm sorry, he's too talented.
No. Listen, I agree with you. I agree with you on that. I agree with he couldn't play in the NBA 20 years ago. I agree with he complains to the refs way too much. I've watched games he's played, and I'm just like, is this what the NBA has become now, where you're complaining about the referee on every single play? I mean, listen, when we were growing up in the 90s, because you're a year younger than me, so you grew up around the same time I did with the 90s, watching 90s basketball. The more you complain to the refs, the more likely you are not to get the calls you want. I don't know when that changed, but apparently someone thinks it's changed over the last 20 years. Now, to go to your point, because the big one they were complaining about is the one at the end of the game where Harden throws the three up, lunges 3 feet into Draymond Green. Draymond Green goes forward with the block, And the idea was he invaded the personal space. Now, here's the deal. To the Rockets' point, okay, apparently the refs wind up calling things like that. But my attitude is this where we've come in the NBA where we're not playing just to play and make the shot? You're playing just to draw a foul? And apparently this has worked because the Rockets and Harden himself has drawn more fouls on three-pointers than anybody else in the league, which is great. But that's really all you're playing for here? If that's the way you're playing, you don't deserve to win the game.
You know who started that trend, though?
Who?
I'm going to throw back old school. You know who started the three-point flopping trend?
Are you going to say Reggie Miller?
Reggie Miller with his leg out. He kicked that leg out all the time, and the defender would run past him, hit that leg, and it would get called all time. Come on!
Yeah, but here's the deal. While I agree with, and as you said it, it's like, all right, I agree with you. He may have done that, 2 or 3 times a game? If Harden's trying to do that on every possession he gets in the game, I'm sorry, that's way too much, and that's over-exaggerated. I think even Reggie Miller would have a problem with someone doing that much.
Yeah, no, but that's why Reggie got the call most of the time, because he pick and choose when he used it.
Right on. I agree with you on that. All right. So have you gotten that out of your system?
Yeah, I mean, the rest of the NBA, but it doesn't even matter at this point. You can talk Celtics, Bucks a little bit, but honestly, I don't think the East even matters.
Well, listen, I'm rooting for the Bucks because we said it a couple weeks ago. I think the Bucks have the best chance against the Warriors. But if you can't get past the Celtics, then obviously that's a moot point there. So, we'll see what happens. I hope they're able to make it a series. But I think what we all kind of want to hear from you, what I know I want to hear from you, because here's the deal. I got out of Avengers Endgame at about 9 o'clock on Thursday. I checked my phone to see what happened with the NFL draft, and I see at number 6, the Giants select quarterback out of Duke, Daniel Jones. Now, I know you have a lot of thoughts on this. If I may, I'd like to share my thoughts here first, because I know you got a lot to say about this. But I want to say this. I did not think that the Giants should go quarterback that early. The old adage is if you identify your guy, if you know who your guy is, you take your guy and you don't risk things. And while I respect that, the fact is I tend to agree with Mike Francesa, where if you knew you were going to take quarterback at number 6, there's no reason to have Eli Manning on your roster, because all you've done is create this quarterback controversy that isn't good for Eli Manning and it isn't good for the kid. And what you've done is when you take a quarterback at number 6, when you got a shit ton of needs, the way that the Giants do, is you are basically telling your fan base, we're not playing for this season. And Gettleman can come out and say all these things about we're trying to stay competitive. No. If you have 2 first-round picks and you don't use both of them on guys who are going to start for your team that season on day 1, you're not playing to win that season. So let's hear your thoughts, sir.
As I've said to you, Dave, I believe, and pretty much anybody I've talked to, it's a fireable offense. I think Gettleman should be fired, and the reason is you can't pass up on a guy like Josh Allen, who's talent, who's a need, who's a position of need, and to get a quarterback that is going to sit behind Eli, that doesn't make any sense. You don't draft somebody number 6 overall to ride the pine. Just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So to me, it's a fireable offense. I wouldn't have let him got to day 2 of the draft. He wouldn't have got to the second round. He effed that first round up so bad I didn't know what to do with him. The pick is Josh Allen. You hope if Daniel Jones is your guy, you get him at 17, which everything in the world says he would have been there at 17.
See, I don't know.
And then if you wanted to do whatever after that, at least you would then I could respect the pick a little more. I can't respect the pick at number 6 and them saying, oh, well, the Broncos were going to take him at 10. He never would have got to us. I don't buy it. I would have let the draft play out the way it did. Allen fell in your lap. You had to take him, and you didn't. It's a fireable offense. He wouldn't have made it to day 2, but I'm not running the Giants organization, so I guess he's getting a stay of execution. But I'm interested to see how it plays out because if he doesn't play for 2 or 3 years, it's a failure. I don't care how good he ends up becoming. It's a failure. You can't draft a guy number 6 overall to sit. And if you're sitting him for only a year or only a few games, then you're right. It creates so much controversy with Eli. It creates turmoil within the fan base. It's just not good for anybody or anything. I don't understand this. I don't know why. I mean, I tend to believe everything I'm hearing about this guy Gettleman and how he thinks he's the smartest guy in the room.
Yeah.
And, nobody knows more than he does and everything else. And, I mean, I forget the exact phrasing he used. Like his, bosoming or blossoming love for him. It was putrid, the words this guy was using. To describe a draft pick. To describe a draft pick who you have openly said is going to sit behind Eli. It doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, I mean, listen.
It's a fireable offense. It doesn't make any sense. It's a fireable offense.
Well, here's the deal. First of all, Cousin David agrees with you on that one. He absolutely agrees with you. When the draft happened, he actually texted me after he said, I want to hear what Eric has to say about it, because I think he knew that you and him were simpatical on that one.
I was texting everybody as the draft was going on, and I saw White went 5. I was like, to everybody, send a text out. Josh Allen. Or picks Josh Allen. Or picks Josh Allen. And I sent out, I might have even sent it to you guys. Not sure. I want Josh Allen.
The one I saw from you, and I didn't actually see it until about 10:30 or something for some reason, was the one where you were pissed off about them taking Daniel Jones. I didn't see anything before.
No. Oh, so no. All right. So maybe I didn't send that one to you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was Allen's our guy. And then simultaneously, as Jones got picked, I got back WTF. Everyone said the exact response. No saying the pick. It's indefensible in my opinion.
Yeah.
And and the words like he uses describe
you're breaking up.
And his love for him is real.
You're cutting in and out a little bit there. It's kind of hard to hear you a little bit, but I think we got the overall point on that one. If I may, a couple points here. You don't buy that he wouldn't have been there at 17. I don't know. I kind of buy that he wouldn't have been there at 17 because you hear that the Redskins were split on whether or not to take Haskins or Jones. I do think the Broncos may have considered taking him at 10. I think it's possibility that he would have gone if they didn't take him at 6. I'm not saying they should have taken him. I agree with you. They should have taken Josh Allen on that one. How about the fact that immediately after the Giants take Daniel Jones, Tom Coughlin and the Jaguars take Josh Allen?
Yeah, they don't even need him. They just realize, hey, it's more talent.
Mm-hmm.
And who's going to make an impact on the field, not a guy who's going to ride the pine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. As far as Daniel Jones as a quarterback goes, I can agree with the people who consider him the best prospect in the class, truthfully, because I was never impressed with Kyler Murray. Wasn't impressed with Haskins one bit. Everything I heard about Jones, like I know Duke is not known for being a football school or anything like that, but everything I've heard about him, it just seems like he didn't have any talent around him, and he could wind up being a pretty good NFL quarterback. Do you agree with that, or you disagree with that?
No, I disagree.
Yeah?
I think there's going to be too much controversy all around this.
Well, no.
It's too much for a rookie to deal with, and I don't think he succeeds in New York because of it. I don't.
Well, take that part out of it. Just as far as natural talent, him playing in the NFL.
No, I don't respect a guy who wasn't any good in the ACC. I don't respect the guy who got beat in his final game.
But again,
57-7 by Wake Forest.
Is that because
I don't respect that. I'm sorry. I
Is
don't.
that
Give me Kyler Murray all day.
Is that because of him, or is that because he didn't have any talent around him, though?
Listen, you can make people better. He didn't make people better.
How do you make an offensive line better as a quarterback?
No, you could just be better. You elevate your team. Listen, you don't. Every college team out there doesn't have a great offensive line. I'm not saying he played with the best talent. What I'm saying though is his skills still didn't translate. He still wasn't that great. He still threw a lot of interceptions.
I don't know. I mean, listen, the one
he threw as many touchdown passes in 3 years as a starter as Haskins did in 1 year as a starter.
Yeah, but Haskins was on Ohio State, though. I mean, you look at the talent he had around him. You're not going to tell me that the talent at Duke anywhere close to matched what he had in Ohio State. I'm just saying, I do think sometimes the people you play around does wind up affecting, your overall performance there. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, the point that I go back to with this is, as my cousin's saying in the chat room, if you know that you're going to take a quarterback at 6. Doesn't matter what you tell anybody else. The fact is, you got it. If you don't cut Eli Manning, and as revered as Eli Manning is, if you want to move on from Eli Manning, you go ahead and move on from Eli Manning. That's fine. If you don't, as you said, all you're doing is creating this quarterback controversy that is not good for anyone. Because the second the first loss is over, if Eli did anything wrong, that's all they're going to be talking about, quarterback controversy. When's the next quarterback starting? When's Daniel Jones starting? That's all that's going to happen. You are in New York. You know this shit is going to happen. You still there? Hey,
yeah, I'm here. I'm listening.
Hey, we don't have to wait anymore. Do you have any final thoughts on this? Because he's here. Do you have any final thoughts?
No, we can get Dave in.
All right. Dave Hastings just gets out of Avengers Endgame. Dave, how you doing, buddy?
I am on a natural fucking high right
now. See, me and Dave have this running joke that any MCU movie that I like, he thinks he's going to hate going in just because of 2017 and the MCU movies that came out that year. I'm guessing that did not happen this time, huh?
If they told me I could have sat back down and watched it again, I would have.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're going to open the floor up here. Avengers Endgame. Let's talk some spoilers here. Dave, I mean, you're processing this movie right now. Let's hear some stream of consciousness stuff. Let's start with the guy who's freshest in his memory. What you got?
I mean, honestly, I think the moment that sticks out the most to me is got to be, oh my God, there's so many of them. But just the way that they tied in to all the old movies with the little one-liners, the little statements. But
Queens.
Yeah, I mean, the way they brought everything together. I mean, it's maybe the first time in my life I've ever seen a movie where I thought the critics, everything they said was right.
Yeah.
But yeah, that end fight scene was amazing.
That's the most. I'm sorry, Dave. The most epic fight scene I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, I mean, before Endgame dropped and Game of Thrones started, everybody was like, "Well, if you had to choose between the two, Endgame or Game of Thrones final season, which one would you choose?" And through 3 episodes of the final 6, I'll tell you right now, I would have taken Endgame. That's how much I love that movie. I thought that was amazing. But I mean, look, Cap at the end when he's standing there by himself and he drops the "on your left" line, seeing Cap fighting with the hammer. I mean, the list kind of goes on and on. The way they portrayed Thor throughout the movie and how hard he took everything and just the character that he displayed after all the different, times we've seen him, especially in the, solo Thor movies. It was funny. It was entertaining. You understood it at the same time. Like, I don't know. I just thought it was great. I really did. That whole end fight scene was just amazing from beginning to end.
Absolutely. All right, I'm going to give my thoughts in a minute here, but Eric, why don't you go ahead? Why don't you talk a little bit?
Well, I gotta say, I'm with Dave. I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it was great. A little sad that it's kind of a point that not a lot of people bring up, but I don't feel like that. Like Black Widow really got justice through the arc of the story. I don't know why. Outside of that, I think it was great. I loved Ronan. I loved what Hawkeye's become. I was down for Professor Hulk. I was down for the Smart Hulk storyline. Although I still, I thought that was funny when he was like picking stuff up and going like, and like throwing, like smash, and like he was just funny. But I mean, I like that. Obviously the emotion there with as well, between Black Widow and then Iron Man passing. I thought it was interesting the way they sent Cap off, although I liked it. I did like it. Although it does make me question kind of like how the, I don't know, quantum realm and that time travel nonsense works, but I'm not going to get too deep into that. It's a movie. I'm not going to try to overanalyze it.
I have an explanation for that if you would like. So when you go back in the past, you can't change your own past. You create an alternative timeline. But the theory I heard was that timeline that Cap was in simply synced up with the natural timeline, and that's how he appears on the bench. That's what I got.
I will jump in really quick, though, and I think I like how they did it because that's the one thing they always touched on in every Captain America movie was, him really not being meant for this time in these years. And I think, getting to see him dance to Peggy Carter, like, that touches him, and that gives the heart, a little palpitation. He's like, oh, how cute is that?
Yeah, that's nice. That's nice.
Yeah, I like that they didn't kill him off. I like that. Yeah, and it was badass seeing him wield the hammer.
Oh, that was awesome. That was awesome. I mean, everything about it, I got to be honest, I'm torn as to whether or not this is my new favorite MCU movie. Winter Soldier has always been my favorite one. Like, I loved Infinity War, but I kind of consider that behind Winter Soldier and Guardians. I think Endgame is like neck and neck with Winter Soldier for me right now. I really do. Because, like you guys said, with everything with the time travel stuff that worked out very well, I thought, at least from a viewer to be able to see it. The fact that they made Thor: The Dark World relevant. I mean, Dave, we talked about that movie, and I said that was the movie that that's my least favorite MCU movie. To me, that's the worst out of all. But they made that movie relevant. The scene with Renee Russo, I thought she was great in her cameo. I don't know about you guys, but I loved the scene with Renee Russo and Thor. I thought that was an awesome scene to see her come back, and because the loss of her, he always felt that, and I thought that was very nice to be able to see that. And then the fight scene starting off with Cap, Iron Man, and Thor going at it, and then Dave, like you said, you hear Sam Wilson saying "on your left," and then Black Panther and everybody shows up. And that was the moment that in my theater, you hear people screaming Wakanda forever. And you're just like, oh, and then everybody comes out of the portals and everything. And how about Scarlet Witch showing off all her power against Thanos? That was badass. And then you had the moment where all the women get together and they start fighting. Gwyneth Paltrow in the Iron Man armor, I thought was nice. And then everything goes from there. It's just an amazing movie. Dave, are you surviving your windstorm there, Dave? You still there?
Yeah, I'm still with you.
All right. Anybody else got anything else to add on that?
I mean,
there's just a lot to unpack.
Yeah. Go ahead, Dave.
Yeah, I mean, the one thing I will say is that, obviously it's sad to see, Tony Stark go and, but to have him go out with his last words be, I am Iron Man.
Yeah.
To then throw it all the way back to the first Iron Man movie with the proof Tony Stark has a heart on the wreath into the lake. I mean,
and what about you want to talk about a throwback? Happy Hogan says to the daughter, "What do you want to eat?" "I want a cheeseburger." "Your dad loves cheeseburgers." That was awesome.
Yeah, like I said, I think my favorite part is how they literally just tied in the last 10, 11 years of movies and really kind of pounded home the point that even though each movie had their own individual stories, they all tied into one large overarching story. And I think, when I look back to when I got into the Marvel movies, that's really what got me truly sucked in, was always wondering, well, who's the bad guy? Who's the guy we're not seeing? And then when they show Thanos at the end of the first Avengers, and I didn't even know who that was. I had to Google who that was to find out who that was, and to learn about the comic book history of everything. And look, I'm never going to be a guy that's going to sit down and read a book or a comic book. That's just not who I am. I'm not a guy that sits down and reads. But I mean, to be able to tie all that in, and I understand that Spider-Man: Far From Home is really the end of Phase 3. I just thought they did an amazing job, really doing this overall arcing story. And I'm glad they made Thanos a badass. I mean, because all of Infinity War, he always had at least 1 to 2 stones. So you always kind of were like, well, really, how tough is this guy? So to see him, do what he was able to do against them, and then, to have him be smart enough when, Captain Marvel shows up and he takes one of the stones out just to use it against her to get her off of him. Like, I thought it was really cool to show him, like, really as a badass, even without the stones. I thought that was really cool, too.
I think one thing people are missing about Thanos is he did beat the shit out of the Hulk at the beginning of Infinity War without using any Infinity Stones. So that just kind of hammers your point home there. But this is epic. What we've seen in the MCU is something we will never see again, in my opinion. This is episodic storytelling on a cinematic level. This is a 11-year TV series, and we've just seen the season finale, basically.
Well, with that being said, let me ask you guys a question. Going forward, which team up are you looking forward to next? Because at the end there, they kind of set up a whole bunch of different ones. Which one are you most looking forward to? Because I have a feeling that somebody's going to say the one that I'm looking forward to. It looks like the most fun.
Dave, I'll let you take that first.
Well, I mean, the one that I feel like put the largest focus on, was the Asgardians of the Galaxy. I mean, that seemed to have a really major focal point as they were wrapping that movie up. And I mean, look, if you're going to pair them together, I think that's amazing. I mean, that was the one that stuck out the most to me, and I think they put the biggest focus on. So I will go with that one.
That one I'm looking forward to. I could definitely see that being a large part of Guardians 3. I mean, obviously, I think the focus of Guardians 3 is going to be them searching for the 2014 Gamora, who's still alive. And yeah, I would love to see Thor in that one. I don't know that there actually is going to be a Thor 4, though. I'm throwing that in there because my cousin's saying that in the chat room. I don't know that we're going to get that for a while. I don't think we're getting an Avengers movie for a really long time here. I'm interested to see the Loki TV series now, because the focus of that is going to be where did Loki go when he took the Power Stone at the end of the them going back to the first Avengers movie. That'll be interesting to see. I don't know, though. I'm looking forward to all of it. But what are you looking forward to there, Eric?
I mean, you guys threw out some pretty good ones. I'm looking forward to. I mean, they did have that pretty epic moment in the battle scene with all the women there. So I mean, I think that's definitely one that I could see happening. Probably sooner rather than later. I mean, again, I don't think they're coming out with another Avengers or anything, another even team up movie for a while, like you guys said. At least the next 5 years or so, probably. So we'll see what happens. But I think the one I'm still most looking forward to is the one that Dave said first, and that's Thor joining the Guardians. For the Asgardians of the Galaxy, I think would be would be a lot of fun. I think he'd fit well with that crew and that type of humor. So I'd look forward to seeing that. Plus, that crew could use a real badass like him. So, yeah.
Yeah, because can I just throw something out?
Go
For
ahead.
how badass Drax is supposed to be, he's kind of irrelevant in basically every movie he's been in. He really doesn't have much impact other than the opening scene of the second Guardians of the Galaxy, where he decides to, jump inside the body of the monster they're fighting in the opening credits.
Well,
it's still Gamora that's the one that ends up taking the monster out anyway. So
Drax
is kind of disappointing.
What I love is that you got the callback to that in that fight scene when he jumps on the guy's back and starts stabbing him. That was funny. I think the first Guardians was when he had his most impact. And since then, yeah, I agree with you. He's kind of lost his relevance there. Yeah, I mean, listen, we could talk about this movie forever. We only got about 8.5 minutes left. And Dave, we saved Game of Thrones talk for you. So I don't know how you feel about switching to Game of Thrones after coming out of Avengers, but you want to talk some Game of Thrones?
I got it in me. I mean, I've got basically the 8 minutes we have left till I got to get off anyway, so we're doing good. But yeah, I could definitely talk Game of Thrones, but I started the Avengers thing, so why don't one of you guys start the Game of Thrones thing?
Well, Eric, I'm going to go to you for a second here, because here's the deal. My mother actually agreed with you on your Black Widow point that they did not give her enough of a send-off, really. And she agreed with you on that. She did not agree with you with anything you said last week, though, because she listened to the show after the fact. She did not agree with you on anything you said last week about Game of Thrones. But episode 3, did you get what you wanted out of this episode?
Did I get the darkness I wanted? Sure. Did I get the pitch blackness? For this to be the most epic scene ever shot and the most money ever shot and this and that and all the nonsense. I gotta tell you, I wasn't that impressed with what I saw. I was like, the coolest part was probably the Night King standing there while Dragonfire's coming down. He gives her a little smirk. And then somehow he just gets stabbed by Arya. I don't understand it. To me, there's just a little, he died way too easy. There's something wrong with that scene. I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. There's something not sitting right with me. And it just, I don't know. That whole scene isn't playing out right in my head. So, as far as it goes, it was a cool episode. It could have been cooler if they lightened it up a bit. So I could have seen what was going on 90% of the time. It was cool that all the Dothraki swords got lit on fire and they charge into battle and then they all go out. I would have liked to have seen how they went out. They missed a lot of stuff there. And then for a while, there was really only the 2 dragons. The Ace Dragon took his sweet-ass time getting to the battle. I'm sorry. This is supposed to be the finale. This is it. This is the culmination of all the crap we've watched for the last 8 seasons.
Did you see us getting wrong? Sorry, guys. Traffic problems.
Yeah, no, it's cool. Well, Eric, I got to be honest. We got about 6 minutes left here. I'm not totally against what you are saying. I do agree it was a little disappointing. I get that they wanted to go for the realism, which is why they didn't really go with too much lights in there. But yeah, it would have been nice. We all could have seen what was going on there. That would have been cool. I will say this. I loved Arya having that death blow. Even though I do think that stare down between the Night King and Bran, that went on far too damn long. That went on too long. I can give you that. But Arya ended the whole thing, stabbing him in the chest with that little drop of the dagger. I liked that. I was actually disappointed that more main characters didn't die. That part didn't make any sense to me. I don't get how you're in that type of a battle and at least, a handful of the main pass away. That part just made absolutely no sense to me. There were definitely some holes in it. I would have loved to see more of the dragons. But at the same time, I'm such a huge fan of Arya that with that ending like that, I was all about it. I went freaking nuts. Saw her jump out and do that, drop the freaking dagger.
Hold on, wait. By the way, real quick before the show ends, how disappointed were you guys that we didn't get to see the Night King fight Jon at all? It was stare down, and that was it.
That would have been nice. It would have been nice to see that. I do agree with you on that. Okay. Dave, real quick, any final thoughts on that?
I was happy. I enjoyed it, but it could have been better than it was. We'll wrap it up like that.
Yeah, definitely. I definitely agree with that. I would like to think, I can't remember which one of you guys said it, but as far as more main characters not dying, I do agree with that. I thought more were going to die. I just really wonder how this is going to play out. I can't imagine everybody's living past the battle with Cersei, because you know that's coming. If not next week, it'll come in episode 5. But we got a little under 2 minutes left here. Apologies for the technical difficulties we've been having. Let's get some final words here. Dave Hastings, let's give some final thoughts.
Between Sunday and tonight, maybe the greatest 48 hours of my life when it comes down to viewing things.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you on that one. Eric Tressler.
I'll disagree. I'm still not 100% sold on Sunday night. I mean, the Sunday morning or Saturday morning was great when I saw Avengers. That was a great day. But yeah, Sunday disappointing. But I will say 2 most badass moments of the show was Arya killing the Night King. I do think that was a badass moment, although I do think it was kind of like what the hell?
Where the hell
kind
did
of
she come
easy.
from?
Yeah, and why was that so easy? Why didn't somebody shoot him or stab him with something earlier? Like, oh, not fully into that thread line. And then the little Mormont girl stabbing the big White Walker in the eye as she was dying, I thought was pretty badass as well.
Hell
So,
yeah!
Give it up to Lyanna Mormont. Absolutely, that was an awesome death. And Jorah's death. I love Jorah's death.
He went out the way he wanted to.
Absolutely.
Theon went out like a bitch.
I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. But we gotta go.
You're a good man, Theo.
Theon, he is
Come on, lame. That was never gonna work, Theon. Never gonna work.
All right, with that, I am Mike Aglioloro. Thank you all for listening. Thank you both, Eric Tressler, Dave Hastings. Love you both. We will see y'all next week.